Hey there, welcome to August of 2022. Susan Saucier, spiritual and transformational coach, and myself are going to be talking about what's coming up for you in August of 2022. I think this month is going to be a little lighter in energy than what last month was. July was a little rough on some people. So let's just see what the improvements are going to be for August of 2022. Stand by. Hey there, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, Susan, how are you this month?
I am good, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Really glad that we're back together. We're going to be talking about August of 2022, and I sure hope it's going to be a lighter energy than July was. What do you think?
I agree. It's been ups and downs and everything in between.
I know it, right? Yeah. And, 2022, of course, has that big emphasis on family and domestic responsibility and trying to strike a balance somewhere and feeling guilty. Oh my God, the energy of that six is causing us all to feel a little bit guilty and super responsible for our families and such. And, July, of course, was a 13/4 universal month, which brought in that focus about what is not working for us, where the limitations are, where the obstacles are. Nothing seems to be going right. And we keep meeting things with just beating our heads against the wall. So the good news is that as we shift into August of 2022, now we're coming into yet another karmic month. We're not free of that yet. But it's coming in as a 14/5 because August is an 8. And we add that to the 6 for 2022. That comes up to 14. So we know that there's a karmic play that's going on in August. So the 5 is going to be a little bit of a welcome relief from the 4 that was last month's energy. The 5 brings in a little bit of restlessness, but a need for change, right? A need to get out there and do things. So we're going to be feeling a little bit more optimistic, if you will, than what we might have been last month. Our focus won't be entirely on where we're stuck. It'll be more on how do I get going? Like, what do I want to do? How am I going to get there? I want to travel. I want to see some people. I want to try new foods, new restaurants, go see a movie, that kind of thing. So it brings in a far more interesting energy. But there is a little bit of a risk with this energy because it is restless. There's no question. And when we look at the 14/5, we know that this is a code, right? So we have 1, 4, and 5. So what does that even mean? Well, the 1 and the 4 are sub lessons to the main lesson, which is the 5. So the 5 is learning how to be adaptable and resilient and flexible in the face of change, accepting that change is imminent, right? But it's not a 5 alone. There are sub lessons to this. So we've got a 1 and a 4 to the left of the slash before it adds up to 5, right? So the 1 relates to ourselves. And because it sits on the left of the slash, it's the weaker side of the 1. Okay, so this brings in somewhat of a more self-centered and maybe a little bit more of a negative energy related to the 1. So it's kind of like all about me rather than all about the collective. So the 1 says, I have to develop confidence in myself, kind of lacking in confidence. So I need to develop confidence in myself. When we look at the 4, the weaker side of the 4 is showing up. It's causing us to feel maybe a little careless, no attention to the details. We're not finishing what we start. The 4 can cause us to have a lack of accountability. So, but the 4 says I need to develop a plan. Okay, if I want the freedom, which is ultimately the 5 that I want, which is the freedom, I've got to execute the 1, which says I've got to develop confidence in myself. The 4 says I've got to come up with a plan. The 5 says if you do that, you're going to have the freedom that you want. And it's going to be a healthy dose of freedom rather than being completely scattered all over the place. So that's the risk with that 5, is the 5 is a bit of a seducer. The 5 says, I want to go out and play. The 4 says, no, you have to stay home. But I want to spend some money. No, you have to save your money, right? Yeah, but I just want to go take a trip. No, you got to stay home. So the 4 is always focused on, got to hold on to the money because you never know what's going to happen. And I got to hang on to the power and all that. But the 5 just says, I just want to go out and do it, right? Why can't I just go out and play? So it is a bit of a contradiction. And the best way that we can work through this is to develop confidence within ourselves, to create an actionable plan. The 5 is going to seduce you into wanting to do it right now. Let's just make it happen. Let's just this knee-jerk reaction. Let's just do it. Let's just spend the money, blow it. Let's go, right? But the 4 is always kind of bringing us back and asking us to be a bit more grounded, a little bit more centered. Take your time with this. Before you make that big decision, take some time. Before you go and talk about that big family drama that's going on, take your time, right? Consider the consequences, consider the dialogue that you're going to be entering into before you actually go there. So the theme this month is to be a little bit of a wait and see. It's a bit of a wait and see month. Rather than being so invested in the outcome for yourself, this has to be the decisions that you're making and the plan that you're creating needs to relate to what's within the best interest of the whole group. And the group probably is your family, right? And this could be your work family, it could be your natural family. But it's not so much just about you. The 5 says, I have an addiction. Whatever the addiction is, it could be just the addiction to having the freedom that I want, to be self-employed, or to come and go as I please, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be food, drugs, or alcohol, or gambling, or whatever. But the 5 does have a bit of an addictive tendency, which kind of leads to the self, right? So the trick this month is to try and make sure that we don't succumb to the addictions, whatever that addiction is, and that we can actually rise above that and make decisions based on the best interest of everybody else. It's about whatever you start, be committed to finishing it. Focus on the details, one step after the other. It's 1 month, guys. It's 31 days, right? It's not, impossible. Recognize your limitations. The 4 that's sitting closest to the slash there is the one that's in your face the most, right? We see it the most. The 4 says, I have to recognize my limitations. There's none of this pie in the sky kind of stuff this month. It's keeping it grounded, keeping it real, so that you actually can finish what you start. So you actually can execute a plan that will bring you the 5, which is the freedom that you so decide. So it's about getting a little bit more practical, a little bit more grounded, and taking an opportunity to really visualize, what is that freedom going to look like? What is it that I really want? And again, remember, this is a universal vibration that's affecting you. If you have a big 5 in your chart somewhere, it's one of your core numbers, you're going to feel this month more so than other people. If you have a 6, a dominant 6 in your chart, you'll feel it more than most people, because those are the dominating forces that are at play right now. So, as I said, just make sure that you are working on developing confidence, developing a plan that you can work with, that's reasonable, that can be actually executed in a 31-day period, so that you ultimately can have that prize at the end, which is the freedom that you're looking for. And I think that's it. That's all I got to say about that. What are you thinking, Susan?
Wow, it still sounds like a lot. I know this year has been challenging, but and it's give and take thing again between that 5 and 4 that really feels through. So yeah, so astrologically wise, we are in Leo season. So, that, like you said, it's about wanting to just go out, have fun, be in the spotlight, be like that little kid again, and just to go have fun and take chances and do things. But at the same point, you got to realize you've got that little energy in you that wants to be that little child that's not going to think things through. So you do have to be very careful before you jump in and pay attention, right? So I totally piggyback off of what you just said. And for August 11th is the full moon, and that's going to be in Aquarius. And it's the Sturgeon Moon, okay? So it represents a time for us to show appreciation and gratitude for everything in our lives. So it's just going to be a really important time to recognize what you're grateful for, maybe make a list, of things. People, I have a tendency to do that every day, and it's become a habit, which I love. I write it down every day. But it's a good thing for this moon being really bright. It's actually also, I want to bring up too, it's the final supermoon of the year.
Oh.
And that just means that it's really so powerful that it's closer to the earth, so it's much brighter. So it's really going to bring a brighter spotlight on whatever needs attention in your life. Okay, so let's think about that if it's Aquarius, and it's telling us to think about gratitude also because of the Sturgeon Moon. So think about that, because some people take things for granted all the time, and they're frustrated, they don't have this, they don't have that, and it's like, but wait a minute, what do you have? And maybe that's the key to thinking of what you can focus on as opposed to what you don't have, right?
Isn't that interesting? Sorry, I interjected. You just said a whole mouthful there that I have to say something. I was so frustrated last month trying to get my new school up and running and get it launched, my new website and all that, getting it done. And I was telling my husband, I was in a bit of a rant. And I'm like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And he just looked at me oddly and he went, but okay, but what can you do? And it was just like, okay, great, I'm back.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what this is going to be about, especially during this full moon because it's the Sturgeon moon. So it is all about gratitude. So it is going to be thinking about, well, if I can't do that and I'm going to complain about that, but what can I do? And what do I
Yeah.
have? What am I
Hmm.
capable of? So,
Hmm.
and another good thing to do too, I'm just hearing this, is to focus on what you have achieved in your life, even the smallest things. Make a little achievement board instead of things that you haven't managed to do. Because
That ties in beautifully with the four in the 14-5, because the four is all about focus, but making sure that you're focusing on what you want to bring closer rather than, what
exactly.
you don't want to bring closer. The
Yeah.
focus is about recognizing what you've accomplished.
Right, because some
Yeah.
people will make a to-do list and then they get frustrated when they see I still didn't do it, still didn't get it done, still didn't get. I was like, okay, so let's flip it and write down what you did achieve, and that's going to give you more motivation
Yep.
and raise your vibration to get it done too. It's also the full moon in Aquarius is going to bring about a strong need for emotional freedom, which can be about how you value your independence,
Mhm.
being part of a team, or how you work with others as opposed to how you work with yourself. Deep desire for independence and freedom is a big thing with Aquarius, which it feels like with that five too. It's that I just want to go do whatever, but you do want to think it through. Balance is going to be big. Saturn's in Aquarius during the full moon as well, so that's the teacher of karma. So, you got to think about what you're putting your effort into, and have you been working hard on your goals, because then you might really get some wonderful rewards. But if you have been procrastinating or distracting yourself with, I didn't get it done, then you might be like really disappointed, with how this works out because you haven't put the time in. So that's going to be important. The new moon is August 27th, and that'll be in Virgo. So that's going to help us with, they are very meticulous and detailed oriented, right? And they can be perfectionists, so you have to be careful with that. But new opportunities and growth and prosperity, it's a good time for commitment to personal goals, how you're going to achieve them, writing them down, and then putting down how you're going to take action, not just how you're going to set your goals, but then maybe another list of, okay, now how do I take action on each one, and then do it. You can only make a habit change when you create a new one to put in its place. You also might find yourself interested in more healthy habits, nutrition, all that stuff is a good Virgo sign. And again, they also can be highly impulsive, so it reminds me of the 4-5 again. You don't want to jump in. Check
Yes.
every detail first before you jump in and do something, because of course that Leo energy is still right around there too, right before we go into Virgo. So it's that kid energy that just says, let's just go do it. I want to have fun. I don't care. And it's important to go, okay, wait a minute. Let's research everything, look everything over before we do something we're going to regret later just so we can feel good right now. That kind of thing, right?
So is the fact that August is the month of Leo, um, and we know that Leos are about creativity, would the overall theme for August then be about creativity?
Creativity is going to be big, and I think that's probably why I keep hearing to talk about creating your achievement board, a visual board, vision board. All
Mhm.
these things are important, and how you want to see yourself going forward. And it's important to visualize all that stuff, not what you're not getting done, but
Right.
what you can get done and how you can do it differently. It's also that opportunity too, is what's not working, and maybe it's not about giving up on it, but it's tweaking it and changing it and shifting it in a different direction to bring it
Well,
a
that
different.
four is all about being grounded and realistic,
Yeah,
not pie in the sky, right?
right. Yeah. And it does feel like it goes up and down because Leo can do that. Leo is very creative, but can also, I want to be in the spotlight. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to party. And
Yeah.
then it's, oh, I forgot to get that done and that done.
Yeah.
And Virgo's kind of going to bring it back down by the end of the month, going, okay, let's get organized. And we need to get this all set up as we move forward. And since they're perfectionists, you got to remember that perfectionism is a behavior to stop you from stepping out of your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
you want to think
Trust
of
it.
it, it's just an excuse of, well, it's not good enough yet, or I want it to be better. It's like, but you look at how many months go by because you're still trying to perfect something. Just jump in, and Leo's going to help you do that.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
want to do it cautiously. So, yeah,
Yes.
there's all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think it'll be exactly what you said, Anne, is a balancing of the two is going to be really important. And that goes with family, it goes with career, it goes with all of it.
Well,
Yeah.
balance is the key word for 2022, of course. And we've got the 3 2s in there, which is all about relationships. And the relationships typically will relate towards your family because the 3 2s equal 6.
Yes.
So, and when we look at that 6, we know that that 6 has got that round belly that reminds us of the nurturer, but the round bellies or the round bottom is always rocking, you know,
Yes.
always trying to do the right thing, always trying to be the perfectionist, always trying to make sure everybody else's needs are being met. But I promise you guys, burnout is around the corner
Yeah.
if you continue on that wavelength, because it's a no-win.
Right. You do.
You
You
need
have
to
to take care of
fill your
you
cup.
first before you
Yeah.
can give others and notice it. Like I think everyone out there listening to us knows when they are reaching that point where they're burnt out. And if you keep pushing, you're going to end up where you're going to, not be able to do anything for anyone, but, not even yourself. So it's going to be like, okay, that's part of the balance, not just taking care of everyone else and how to do it and your
Mhm.
job and your career and the kids and this and that and mom and dad who are elderly, all this. It's about, okay, I got to put me here in this whole process of taking care of and then figure out what I can give to each person as well.
Yeah, and it's making sure you're not coming from a place of servitude,
Yeah,
because that's exactly what can happen when the burnout starts, right? So,
exactly.
did you pull any cards for us this month?
I sure did. Giving and receiving. The entire universe operates in cycles similar to your inhalations and exhalations. When you only exhale, you give, and when you only inhale, you receive. You become out of rhythm with the universe. For optimal health, energy, and replenishment, balance each inhalation in your life with an exhalation. So I think that's a good point to make to people.
Wow.
When you get confused about that giving and receiving, because like we said, people overgive and they end up exhausted and burnt out. Think of your breath. You're taking in a breath and you're giving in when you're letting it out. Taking in, giving out. And it's important to balance the two of those. Yeah. So
I love that.
yeah,
I can relate to that for sure.
important
Yeah,
with everything we're going through this year.
for sure. Absolutely. Anything coming up for you?
Yeah, it's funny, Ian. I've done lots of courses, right? And one in particular, during the course, we always do inner child work. And I've had so many clients just request more of that. They love it. They really find that it's bringing them some wonderful insights and positive changes. So I have created a deeper program called Discover the Wisdom of Your Inner Child. And it's personalized guided meditations that are unique just to them for their needs and whatever we're going through. But they're 3 90-minute sessions of one-on-one coaching with lots of extra goodies to bring them whatever they need. But right now, through August 15th, I have $100 off of the 3 week package.
Excellent. And they can
Yeah.
check that out at spiritsandbeyond.com.
Yeah. Yes, they sure can.
Excellent. Perfect. Susan also offers personal readings as well, which you can book by going to her website at Spirits and Beyond, spiritsandbeyond.com. Why am I struggling with that today? I want to announce as well that my website has completely had a massive overhaul. I'm super proud of it, super happy with it. So you might want to check that out. And my Clarity Seekers community is now open to everyone. And we've got some really cool guest speakers coming up. We've got light language. We're going to be talking about light language, which is soul language. Allison May is going to be coming to teach us about that. That's going to be in August. I've got Annette Dalu coming back. Everybody loves Annette. She's coming back. She's going to be talking about how to create the perfect affirmation, ones that really work. And she'll be following that up with a workshop on creating grids to be able to put your affirmations into. So there's some really cool stuff coming up into the community. You can check it out at my website, anneperrynumerologist.com. So that's it for this month. Looking forward to a bit of a relief from all this karmic stuff in September. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. Anyway, I sure hope that you have a great month, Susan, and that everybody else is creating their best day ever. Thanks so much for being here. Take care, guys. Bye for now.